log on to patreon.com/Dane Calloway or paypal.me/Dane Calloway to support me, my channel, and my content. Merchandise is now available at I'mJustHereToMakeYouThink.com. OCO brothers and sisters and relatives and free thinkers, before we jump into this, I want to thank the newly incoming 15,000 subscribers that just came this past month. If you're new here, make sure you hit the bell button, and especially to the new 13,000 that's accumulating right now during this month, make sure you guys hit that bell button beside the subscribe button so you won't miss any notifications as far as when I do post throughout the months here. And also I want to thank each and every one of you that has went on ahead and purchased your copy of my new book. This is the first edition of Tracing Your Family's Genealogy History by Records. This book is now the #1 seller, actually was within an hour the #1 seller on Amazon.com. I really appreciate that. And it will be a hard copy as well that will be coming, and it will be inside of other places where, or all places rather, where books are sold here shortly. You got to give them some time in order for it to roll out, but I really appreciate that. And the second edition will roll out here sometime in December. I'm pushing for a December release date, which will go into more details. It will be a more advanced version. So without further ado, let's jump right into this, because I will be sharing some informative news concerning just what this is all about, because it is very essential to understand and be cognizant of what is currently transpiring behind the scenes. So now, some of you may be aware of this, but maybe not to this extent. So I'll be sure to cover both the things that you may have heard of and of course the things that you haven't heard yet. So as of recent here, there has been an ongoing crackdown on people who claim to be an American Indian or have some form of Native American ancestry within their family's genealogy, when in reality they actually don't. And there is also an ongoing investigation on current top tribal members of numerous indigenous tribes that not only misrepresents these particular tribes, but they have also been fraudulently collecting specialized benefits and funds, and more specifically land allotments, okay, only for themselves, okay, when it was actually set out for the people of these tribes. As of recent here, you may recall hearing the news about a senator named Elizabeth Warren, and she's a Democrat of Massachusetts, and her claims of being a Native American throughout the years due to her allegations of having ancestors of Native American descent or American and Indian descent, okay? Now, a lot of people have been poking fun at her, like news reporters and other politicians, and even President Donald Trump, by mocking her and calling her Pocahontas and daring her to run for president in 2020 against him, so he can some way force her into taking a genealogy DNA test to prove her Native ancestry.
They are going to endorse me, because if I lose, should I lose, or if I don't run, they're out of business. So who's going to cover? They're going to cover Bernie? Hey, they're going to cover like Sleepy Joe Biden? They're going to cover Pocahontas? Who was... Think of it. Think of it. She of the great tribal heritage. What tribe is it? Let me think about that one. Meantime, she's based her life on being a minority. Pocahontas. They always want me to apologize for saying it. And I hereby... Oh, no, I want to apologize. I'll use tonight. Pocahontas, I apologize to you. I apologize. To you, I apologize. To the fake Pocahontas, I won't apologize. No, it's causing her problems. You know, that name's good because now even the liberals are saying, take a test. Take a test. You know, I tell you, I shouldn't tell you because I like not to give away secrets, but this one. Let's say I'm debating Pocahontas, right? I promise you I'll do this. I will take, you know those little kits they sell on television for $2? Learn your heritage. Guy says, I was born in Scotland. It turns out he was born in Puerto Rico, and that's okay. It's good. You know. Guy says, I was born in Germany. Well, he wasn't born in Germany. He was born someplace else. I'm going to get one of those little kids. And in the middle of the debate, when she proclaims that she's of Indian heritage, because her mother said she has high cheekbones. That's her only evidence, that her mother said she had high cheekbones. We will take that little kid and say, but we have to do it gently. Because we're in the Me Too generation, so we have to be very gentle. And we will very gently take that kid and we will slowly toss it, hoping it doesn't hit her and injure her arm. Even though it only weighs probably 2 ounces. And we will say, I will give you $1 million to your favorite charity, paid for by Trump, if you take the test and it shows you're an Indian, you know. And let's see what she does, right? I have a feeling she will say no, but we'll hold that for the debates. Do me a favor, keep it within this room, because I don't want to give away any secrets. And the press is very honorable. They won't. Please don't tell her what I just said.
Now, obviously, with her having a pale skin complexion, with a phenotype that strongly resembles an albino of either European or African descent, it can be determined immediately that she is definitely not a pure full-blooded American Indian. However, there is a possibility that she may have some Indian ancestry due to the, you know, the incoming British and Scottish and Irish and Germans, for example, that immigrated to Turtle Island, or what you may know now as North America, in large numbers during the middle half of the 1800s. And speaking of the 1800s, okay, speaking of the middle half of the 1800s, so I'm gonna quickly add a side note here, okay, while we're at it. In the middle half of the 1800s, to be more specific, in the year of 1828, Noah Webster of the famously known Webster's Dictionary defines the noun American as a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the Europeans born in America, okay? Now, in that same year, in 1828, Webster defines the noun Indian as a general name of any native of the Indies, as in East Indian or West Indian. It is particularly applied to any native of the American continent. That is very important, okay? So, because this is not to be confused with the place that they now call India, okay? Want you guys to note that. And also, while we're at it, also in Webster's 1828 dictionary, he defines the term Aboriginal as first, original, okay? Aboriginal people are the first inhabitants of a country, or first settlers of a country, as the Celts in Europe and Indians in America. That is very important, okay? Now, I stated all of that to say a few things. First, just simply take a look at your arm. Let's go like this. Simply take a look at your arm, for example. You'll notice that you are not black, like how many would claim today, okay? But instead, you are actually many shades of the color brown. And if you take a closer look at the scale of the color copper, you'll notice that these colors are pretty much identical and directly matches the skin complexion of the Aboriginals of this land that the incoming foreigners were referring to, okay? And second, the Aboriginals of this land were deemed as colored and minorities by the government, okay? Now, I have previously released a documentary on what the term minority really means, and I highly recommend everyone to watch it if you haven't done so by now. And Elizabeth knew this already, but still carried on her same claim of being American Indian descent up until the year of 1995, just after she was hired by Harvard University as a teacher. Okay, so while she was at Harvard, according to the Crimson newspaper, the university's faculty included one Native American, and it was her. And it was also stated that she was the first woman with a minority background to receive tenure. However, she failed to substantiate her claims, which is a federal requirement when universities report diversity data. Okay, and even by her own admission, her connection to American Indians is, quote, remote. Quote, ever since the issue was raised by the Boston Herd in April, Warren had stumbled in her efforts to explain her claims of minority status. She initially sought to minimize the controversy by saying that she had merely hoped, quote, that I'd get invited to some lunch group or maybe some dinner conversation, and I might find some more people like me, people for whom Native American is a part of their heritage and part of their hearts, end quote. Now, she did go as far as to actually take a genealogy DNA test, but as I have stated like numerous times before, these genealogy DNA tests are merely nothing more than conjectures with less than 1% of accurate information. Less than, okay? Paternal and maternal DNA test results are totally different from genealogy DNA test results. It can only compare living people with living people, okay? Which royally limits their results to just a simple guess. Think about it. As they test her, did they dig up her mother's mother and father? And then her father's mother and father? And then what about their mothers and fathers' mothers and fathers? See, keep in mind that each generation is multiplied by 4, okay? Because only a mother and a father can produce a child. That means that these results are another form of entertainment, because there is absolutely no way of tracing your family's genealogical background by records, by a DNA test at this time, okay? It can only be done by paper trail, and stating that numerous times now. So with that being said, this is why Trump dismissed Warren's genealogy DNA test results altogether.
Senator Warren released some of her DNA results that show a strong likelihood that she does have Native American roots.
How much? 1/1000?
Do you owe her an apology?
No, I don't.
What about the money that
I owe her. She owes the country an apology. What's the percentage? 1/1000?
I don't have the exact numbers.
Okay, tell me when you have the percentage. Tell me what the
What
percentage
about the money
is.
that you told her you would?
You mean if she gets the nomination in a debate where I was going to have her tested? I'll only do it if I can test her personally. Okay, that will not be something I enjoy doing either.
And when questioned about Warren's results, the counselor to the president called genealogy DNA tests, quote, junk science. Okay? Now, this is just one example of, believe it or not, millions of foreigners claiming to be American Indian for their own economic and political gain. And unfortunately, it has been this way for a very long time now. And to make matters worse, people have heard that they have Indian in their families before, most likely when they were younger, either by grandma or their granddad or both for that matter. And they still choose to believe what history books, employees of compulsory educational institutions, and self-proclaimed scholars and doctors and scientists would tell them what their family's historical background is all about, as if they actually traced each and everyone's genealogy by records, when we all know that that's not true. So with you claiming things like a misnomer like African American and a slave status code like black, you truly owe it to yourself to find out just who you really are, because there are entities out there with malicious intent profiting from you not knowing who you are. And note that these entities have hired people that shares the same hue of complexion as you and I to not only assist with the continuing this identity crisis, that's what this is, but to also keep you unaware of the paper genocide that took place here in America on our ancestors. Now, Elizabeth was claiming to be part American Indian, but there are also people out there claiming to be full-blooded, and they have they even have top leadership status within tribes. Okay, now don't blame me, because the argument has already begun about cracking down on fake Indians from multiple different sources within multiple different tribes. For example, there are 2 specific leaders of the Cherokee tribes, okay, that are being deemed as fake Indians right now as we speak, and have no genealogical connection to the indigenous people of this land. In fact, these 2 tribal leaders in question do not live on the reservations with their alleged people. One is currently residing in London, and the other is in Scotland. Okay? Now, what's important to point out is that all members of these Cherokee tribes must follow by the rules and regulations of the treaties in order to continue to receive things like land allotments and other benefits set aside for these quote-unquote civilized tribes, aka Christianized tribes. And one of the most important rules set by the federal government is the fact that all tribal members must reside on the reservations that the federal government appointed to them in order to receive the benefits that I mentioned. Okay, so what makes these so-called tribal leaders or so-called chiefs become an exception to this rule? Okay, the majority of the tribal people, and especially ones I know, not only of this particular tribe, are at a standstill with wondering why they don't actually get the benefits from the government as promised in these treaties, and they live on the reservation. Well, here's the answer. Just about a week and a half ago, these top leaders are being accused of single-handedly diverting funds from all tribal people to their very own pockets. And keep in mind that the banks the Indian tribes own are sovereign. So they self-govern their own funds that they receive from the federal government. However, no matter what type of charter was previously opened by the Indian tribes, the federal government still, in fact, regulates the laws. So, federal authorities, totally different from the US government, the federal authorities were led to open an investigation into this matter, and it revealed a heavy load of fraudulent activity. And a few of them that stuck out to me were leaders allowing whomever they want to join the tribe, regardless of their blood quantum or ethnical background. And also, another thing that stuck out to me is that this whole thing was a part of a global scheme where many of the tribal leaders, not only here in the US, okay, all over the world, UK, Canada, this is going on right now, were a part of this scheme. I'm talking about these tribal leaders, the chiefs, who are a part of this scheme. I mean, I'm talking about they claiming it for themselves, land rights, claiming land. Let me just say that right now. Claiming the sovereignty, and they are stealing a vast amount of funds away from their own people. Now, this is a part of an ongoing global investigation, and I will, touch on this when more information becomes available. I will get in more detail. But yeah, this is going on right now, and this is something that you can't Google. Why? Because this is global news. Okay? I'm talking about other countries that are talking about what's going on right here in America. And I also want you guys to think about something here. Like, think about, for example, the Kardashians. My wife and I was talking about this the other day. Think about how the Kardashians got their money. How do you think the Kardashians got their money? Leave your comments down below and tell me what you think. Okay? And also think about it. You know, maybe the mother's directing her daughters to marrying wealthy black men for a reason. Think about it. Leave your comments down below and tell me what you think. I'm definitely going to be tapping into this some more, probably at a later time when more information becomes available. I really appreciate you all watching this video. Go ahead and click the like button, and if you learned something, and definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please make sure that you're hitting the bell button. Too many of you are telling me that YouTube is not sending out the notifications. Just be sure that you did your part and put the hit the bell, so you could definitely get the notifications. And if not, you know, if YouTube is playing games or whatever, we'll worry about that at a later time. But just note that I will be coming out with more content, so definitely check back on my channel to see exactly when I release more content. I will be going live here soon, and more documentaries are on the way for this month and next month, definitely. And the movie, my first movie, will be released here shortly. I'm going to post up the trailer. I'm not going to give a date. I'm going to just surprise you. I'm going to surprise you with the date. I'm going to just make it pop up. The trailer of the movie will be coming out here shortly. And thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm Dane Calloway, and I'm just here to make you think. I'm just here to make you think.